Kicking things off with tip numero uno, we've got the Flame On. Just like in your favorite Pokemon game, in Helldivers, the bugs are also weak against fire. So to hit these Caterpie-looking fools with a hotter roast than an early 2000s 4th grade recess Yo Mama slam poetry session, the tube slide, make sure to load up on those incendiary stratagems. The flamethrower is great for dealing with small hordes of the little and medium-sized guys, and you can also use it to preemptively reinforce a position and set up some flame barriers to make those little buggos think twice before jumping on into Hell's Kitchen, thinking they can nab themselves some of that special lamb sauce. On the higher difficulties though, when the big baddies start to show up, make sure to summon your inner Tropic Thunder and bring along the Eagle Napalm Strike or Napalm Orbital Barrage to light things up like the 4th of July. Tip numero dos is the old secret Joestar technique. When in doubt, run it out. It's that simple, soldiers. Since the majority of the bugs are melee only, more often than not, all it takes to avoid death by insect is packing up your things, yelling out a certain melanistic sounding Japanese phrase that may or may not have the cross-language speech police knocking at your door, and hoofing it. Combine the old secret Joestar technique with the fact that it's really only chargers and stalkers that seem to have enough fast twitch muscle fibers to actually outrun your standard issue Liberty enjoyer, and more often than not, the solution to your bug woes is lacing up the old New Balances and heading out for a jog with Tom Hanks. If you find yourself in a pinch, remember the 3 R's: run, reload, and revenge. Making sure to give those bugs a little taste of that lead farmer lifestyle when you finally decide to turn around and Baja blast them with more explosive bombardment than a Taco Bell bathroom on Cinco de Mayo. Coming in at tip numero tres, we've got the Diver Down. As briefly mentioned in the previous tip, the Chargers and Stalkers are the 2 main Terminid enemy types that can't be outrun. In these situations, you're going to have to man up, stand on business, and face your problems head on. Well, maybe not completely head on. When engaging the Chargers, remember, cover is your best friend, and no matter how frequently those Bugs Life wannabes hit up the Planet Fitness, he ain't charging through any rocks, much less boulders that pioneers would be riding for miles. However, in the case that you find yourself toe-to-toe with one of these bad Larrys in the Great Plains, it's time to shift that mindset from Prospector Pete to Antonio Torero. I'm talking stare that bull in the eyes, wait till he charges, and at the last second, dive out of the way before hitting him in the hiney with some AP rounds or one of your Pack-a-Punch Pokeballs. And while you can most definitely take these armored beasts down with just your primary alone by targeting those exposed green glutes, it definitely does take some extra work. Little pro tip here to make your life easier is using your anti-tank armaments or grenades to blow up the armor on the front of their legs. A couple of well-placed explosives will expose their skinny orange calf weak spots, as well as the fact that they most definitely have been skipping out on leg day at the local Planet Fitness. For tip numero cuatro, we've got the sweep the legs. Intergalactic War is definitely not the time for martial arts morals or the Miyagi-Do way, despite what Daniel LaRusso's glazing would have you believe. It's truly us versus them out there, and democracy, and much more importantly, the shiny All-Valley Karate Tournament Championship trophy is on the line. So sweep those goddamn bug legs. Pretty much all of the Terminid subspecies are weak to leg shots, which will either completely kill them outright, or if not, will have those buggy bastardos looking like Lieutenant Dan. As mentioned before, the Chargers are actually built like a One Piece character underneath their armored facade, and even the towering Bile Titans can be toppled by some well-targeted anti-tank attacks to the leg joints. Obviously, explosive weaponry is going to have an easier time taking taking care of business. But even if you don't have any stratagems or grenades on hand, targeting the exposed intersection points where the leg attaches to the carapace works on even the most heavily armored foes. There's been a saying going around base among some Helldivers in the core that you don't need to be able to outrun a charger, but only need to be able to outrun your fellow Helldiver. However, I ain't no starbelly sneech, and in my platoon, we don't leave no borders behind. All I can say is, in my squadron, there ain't no room for any selfish sympathizers, and when me and the boys are dropping, it's gonna be a bad day to be a charger's kneecap. And coming in at tip numero 5 is the don't rest till you take out the nest. Speaking of sympathizers, I know the pro-bug propaganda has been on a full court press recently, and there have been certain members of the community who have some moral qualms about taking out younglings. But fellas, we gotta keep our eye on the prize here and start taking a couple of pages out of the Anakin Skywalker playbook. Of course, I'm talking about eliminating the bug nests that can pop up across the planets. Left alone, these orange hole-filled objectives will continuously spew out new baddies at every spawn wave, and we definitely do not want that. Right off the rip, priority numero 1 should be whipping out that map faster than this yee bowl cut having, purple backpack wearing, Nick Jr. marathon running Chiquita and marking out those insect hidey holes pronto. On higher difficulties, the stalker nests in particular can be a real headache since these hombres have an annoying habit of going invisible and sneaking up to Dr. Mantis Toboggan you clean in half. Lucky for us though, their little breeding grounds are quite easy to distinguish on the map if you know what you're looking for. So before you start hoofing it to the nearest major objectivo in the name of democracy, take a moment to give yourself the upper hand by taking a peek at your map and looking for these crater markings which indicate a stalker nest. That way you can end the party before it even starts with a well-placed orbital barrage or eagle strike. And if the Ferrari is in the shop, so to speak, you can always send a couple of spherical surprises down their little hidey holes to take out not only the men, but the women and the children too. Anyways, that's pretty much it. Hopefully this was helpful. Let me know if I got anything wrong or any of your tips down below. Thanks for tuning on in, and we'll catch you next time. Adios, amigos.